my name is Chris Kent. I'm the principal director at SRG. I had an early interest in space, stargazing, amateur rocketry, robotics. I studied computer science and management science. I majored in accounting because I'm interested in systems thinking for organizations. And I'm an innovation mentor. Professionally, I do project management, entrepreneurship, hospitality, education. And let me share my screen here so that I can get some slides going. Share, here we go. Sorry for the delay, technical,
You're fine.
And I don't know, we kind of left a little bit of room for Q&A at the end, so because we've got 45 minutes. Sure.
Awesome. We'll be here.
Okay, so there we go. We seeing my slides?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So our team is the Sunhaven Research Group, SRG. And we chose that because all of us live in a haven powered by energy from the sun. We have a beautiful blue-green planet, it's Spaceship Earth. And we are going to talk about the problems first, the problems we help solve. The local scale problem is structural and generational poverty. The vicious cycle works something like this. It's oversimplified, but families with low levels of education can't educate at home, and they can't earn enough for better education. Education systems often fail, and children are then forced into labor because the family doesn't have enough to eat, let alone enough to send them to school. Then you have the generational issue where another low education generation results. And this is an endemic problem in so many countries, specifically in the first country we're going to build schools in. That's what we do, by the way, we build schools. And it's the Philippines. Now, as a global effect, this robs us of our most valuable asset, which is innovators. Let's see here. So this happens in developing economies, from developing nations to any community where young people struggle with a lack of opportunity. And changing this is how we'll overcome the biggest challenges that face us all. It won't be austerity that helps us. It won't be anything but finding new and better ways to do things. And right now, our civilization doesn't empower innovators very well. That brings us to our mission. So we help the world innovate. We provide meaningful media production services, and we create opportunities for those who have little. Our motto, it boils it down to 4 words. So innovation, education, creating opportunity. And we achieve this online and also by building small, self-sufficient farm schools in the developing world. Now at our schools, local students don't need to pay any tuition. We provide healthy meals on campus, supplies, food parcels for families, all at no charge. Note that educating and feeding students directly breaks the generational poverty cycle. Now, what do we teach? We teach STEAM education, so science, technology, art, engineering, math. And we really don't want to forget the arts. STEM is great, but arts is key because communication, creativity, design thinking, these are all really critical. We included advanced agronomy, food systems, robotics, space science, and other topics that help students solve problems by doing projects and by achieving results. And we chose it'll get a little bit clearer why we chose something like earth farms and space science. It's kind of a spectrum. but we bring space down to earth. And our objective is to find the bright stars, the innovators of tomorrow that otherwise would go undiscovered. So let's get into how the schools work. It starts with self-sustaining campuses. We design our small schools like spaceships. In space, you need to make as many closed loop systems as possible. The more you recycle, the longer and more robust your mission. So like space explorers, our students get 5 years to explore new ideas, to seek a path in life that helps civilization through innovation. Sort of like exploring the final frontier. And well, yeah, I'm a Star Trek fan, so every campus, it's a small farm, 1 to 5 hectares. On this farm, we have a number of modular systems, and tropical, subtropical plantings are planned. Even the buildings are modular because we don't intend to just build one farm. This is a system designed to physically scale up. It's largely independent of site. It can adapt. It can work across the equatorial and global south climate bands, and it can even be adapted from any deserts. It can't really take freezing. That's somewhere for the future, but we figure, it's a pretty good operational range. Now, the next thing that's really important in our campus is a Food Plus system. And this is a vertically integrated food system. So we feed students, staff, and send home groceries for families so that students aren't pressured to work. And this is actually one of the biggest things that we've noticed in the available literature is that, families, especially in the developing world, family units can be quite tight. And there is a lot of pressure on the students to stay home, do subsistence labor, this kind of thing. Now, this is farm to table plus shelf stable goods. So the idea there is that, of course, we can't generate everything on our property. But what we can do is we can buy bulk staples. So, we wouldn't farm rice or we wouldn't farm wheat, especially in the Philippines. But we would buy them economically, store them, but then we can get high nutrient dense food, vegan fare, vegetarian fare, just because it also happens to be cost effective from our farm. And when we put it together, we can get a really, really good menu. Plus, we do shelf stable goods because we want to be able to distribute. The Food Plus system, it teaches a lot of industries. Students learn operations, complex systems, product development, marketing, and they experience the ultimate quality control cycle. They eat what they help make. Now, staff, students, families, guests, and the bistro customers, they also eat campus meals, so delicious and nutritious. The restaurant does have some high-end dishes planned, baked goods like cakes that aren't in regular rotation, but even those would go to staff and students just before they aren't fresh enough to sell. We use solar thermal and direct solar electric plus biomass backups to do the cooking and pasteurization. And every system is efficient, effective, and as closed loop as we can make it. Every campus is like a spaceship. So that's the cost end of how we can feed students and families for free. Plus, we run the restaurant, and every campus has on-campus revenues. The big one for the on-campus is an international student program. And so that allows us a good income. It allows us to grow the schools slowly. And this is really what this is the key. Under normal operations with a reasonable amount of business attendance, these schools are self-sufficient. They have a pretty good margin. Now, as a side benefit, they're disaster-resistant sites. They're off-grid to a large extent. Not that we operate without utilities, because that's actually pretty expensive cost-wise in terms of capital cost. But we don't depend on the utilities for our basic operation because there's lots of brownouts. The water systems municipal water systems will often run dry early in the morning through usage and in the dry season. So we're cognizant of being independent from the grid. I mentioned, of course, before, bulk commodities. We do purchase and securely store lots of bulk commodities on site. So in a crisis, if there's a natural disaster, we can keep cooking, we can keep baking, we can distribute food. So it's a little bit of like a community center. Another thing we consider is the time horizon. And families will quickly get used to having extra groceries come home. Students need time to study, and that's why they get 5 years in our program. The meals and groceries with zero tuition, they get to stay on that, and we're pretty generous as long as they don't do something illegal and keep in reasonably good standing. Now, let's see. I mentioned STEAM, but for this to work efficiently, we had to develop a specific framework for what students study. And now that is, our website, by the way, is srgsmart.org, and it's Sunhaven Research Group, but SMART because of the SMART curriculum. So students do media, art, research, and team projects. S for students achieving things, M for media, which we'll get into in a minute. That's a big part of our mission. A for arts, because it's just so critical. Creativity is right next to innovation. Design thinking is key. R for research, because we teach scientific method, archival techniques, systems thinking. And T for teams, because students work in small teams. We teach agile methodology, project management, a lot of real good career skills, and just personal management skills. Now, the next thing we have that's important is our big saying is projects, not lectures. Because creativity is the next best thing to innovation, we have students spend as much time doing things, creating things. That's both tangible goods, like art or electronics projects, and also intangibles, like publication or digital art. These teach STEAM, but that's again something that gets us into the media. Oh, by the way, students do sometimes complete online courses, but only as a foundation to start learning by doing, by creating. So some of the platforms we can freely access that are pretty famous, MIT OpenCourseWare, and that just celebrated its 20th anniversary. Let's see, edX, which is a massive open course platform run by great universities. YouTube, of course, thousands of online lectures. Independent platforms like Khan Academy. And then, so we, even in our operations, because of course the students, like when they're harvesting on the farm, they're prepping meals, they're baking, they're still asked for structural feedback. They'll be generating training materials. They're looking to innovate process because everything's a project. They follow our continuous innovation cycle. It's not ours essentially, it's based on the process of continuous innovation that's used all across industry, but it governs most of what we do. And we broke it down to design and refine, create and operate, enjoy and explore. So we designed our modular systems, refined them, and we'll improve on them. We'll improve on the conservative projections we made by learning from building and operating them on our first campus. Let's see here. Yes, so this leads to the meaningful media part of our mission. Students, staff, and the campus itself produces plenty of raw footage. It's designed as a media production unit. And that's media that our global audience can enjoy and explore. It's tying back into our cycle. Students, they document their own successes, their failures, their academic journey, and after the least possible editing, you could say we share that media with the world. And this is actually meeting a strong and lasting demand for real media, experiencing different cultures, real people, real events. Media, the M in SMART, also makes us the most money. As I mentioned before, the campuses are self-sustaining, and in good conditions, they can grow slowly. But what really drives the growth of our schools as a network across the world is the media, because we're not in it to build just one school. So the revenues from things like different brand deals, different digital products that can be produced, whether we have one campus or 100 campuses, there's a massive audience reachable online. Corporate social responsibility, CSR, and again, brand deals, and even entertainment shows. These are really, really powerful things that our students can get into, because every student team is a media production unit. The genuine efforts of students shine through, and it's more than just public relations. Donors and sponsors can live stream with students. The companies can help students with projects that resonate in their industry. So, for instance, let's say we get I'm using Samsung gear here. So we get Samsung to donate in kind, or to be a sponsor. Well, the students can work with Samsung gear, and they can work with Samsung representatives on their project. And that's the big thing, in that media builds a better world for students by building their careers after the 5 years, or even before if they get a really good offer. But students can show off their projects in a portfolio. There's footage of them working, presenting, problem solving. Sponsor firms are even given the first hiring rights, so they can invest time into shaping the young innovators. Companies get a secure human resource investment, and it meshes with their culture. So we've been able to take something that was a vicious cycle, generational poverty, and we build a virtuous cycle out of it. The student success means our schools succeed, making more meaningful media, onward and upward. And so we've done a few steps so far. We've done a complete rebuild of a house in the Philippines. We had to build it so that it was able to stand up. So we tore it down, rebuilt it with new electrical, excellent quality roof, thermal management, and most importantly, fiber internet and security for our servers. So this is going to be our backup site. When we relocate, there's a lot of due diligence to do, and we want to be able to scout sites. So my wife and one of our core team, she's over there already, and so when I relocate, we're really going to get going on that. It's also how we found our build team, which we're going to need for the campus, and we're going to do some of the build on our property as well. So the other exciting thing that we have going on, and I'm done with the slides here, because now we're just going to talk about exciting things that don't really need slides. How do I get out of this here? I'm back. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Hey.
Thank you. That was great.
How
And
am I
I
doing
think
for
Raphael
time?
has landed as well.
Oh, wonderful. Well, okay, in that case, let me get on to introducing him, because I was just about to talk with volunteers. So we have volunteers on 5 continents that are, budgeting and mapping supply chains, working on costs, prices, this kind of thing. And as part of our first effort we called Global Starfinder to reach out in the last month, we found some amazing young people from the Mars Society Philippines. And what they did, they created their own chapter of the Mars Society, under Robert Zubrin, the real deal. And these are motivated, enthusiastic, talented volunteers. And, of course, we have one of them on camera right now. So I'm available after if we have Q&A time, that's fine. But for now, I'll yield the digital floor to my friend Raphael. Thank you.
Raphael, are you able to unmute? You got it?
Do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So
welcome to GIFT, Raphael. Thank you for being here.
thank you. So I will present my uh, slides. So, see it? Yeah. Okay. So thank you for this opportunity to present today. Good morning and good night to those who were in the other side. I am Rafael Jubida, one of the founders of the Mars Society Philippines. I am a radiologic technology student and currently in second year college. I chose this field to gain more insight into medicine and also to understand the wonderful world of physics. In speaking before you, I also come to join your enthusiasm about space in one single aspiration to inspire the next generation of space enthusiasts, the pearl and the treasures of the future. Here's the reason why we gathered today to become witnesses to the next generation of innovators in achieving this signifies a greater pact that will unite the predecessors to the heirs of the glorious future. Next slide. Who we are? The Mars Society Philippines, also known as TMSP or TMSP Metro, is a non-profit organization, part of the International Mars Society, that seeks to inspire the youth and work with the activities relating to astronomy and be part of the groundbreaking era of space exploration. We started with just a students who shared the same common interest in sciences. It is founded on November 6, 2020, which is just last year and around the same time when the largest virtual Mars Society convention is held. I remember how we are often misunderstood last year because we do not have any groups that support this kind of endeavor in the Philippines. I met Mr. Kent Nebergal and I am amazed at how he presented the ideas on hangars and the plans for permanent settlements on Mars. We witnessed the Mars rover competitions and got inspiration from Mars Society President Mr. Robert Zubrin, the former NASA administrator, and from Elon Musk himself, as well as from the former NASA astronauts who also answered my question regarding the Philippine space initiatives. I also learned about the origami designs of the Mars habitats and also witnessed the Mars city designs. It was such an honor to ever meet them, and just the thought of it makes me feel overwhelmed. Truly, the TMSP is the new rejuvenation of the enthusiasm about space in the Philippines. I met Nova, the one who is in charge of the Mars chapter, and I applied for Mars chapter for the Philippines. And Nova told me that there's another advocate of the same idea. She was the current vice president and my co-founder, Jaicobel Punay, who is now doing significant efforts to other affiliated organizations and companies. My close friends, Kyle Marcelino, Yella, and Ate Julene, we are both at the same timeline despite being so distinct in some aspects, in appearance and in the background at least, coincide at the bottom and share the desire to build a support group that can support and fulfill the great things out of every small step of bravery and will turn every dream to reality. Consequently, during our first day as TMSP, we are thought to be crazy, and then some of making fun of our efforts to be acknowledged. To me and the rest of my teams believe that it's better to be known as crazy for doing good things that will bring greater benefit for mankind than to be known for the bad things that you have caused on mankind. We also met the NASA trainee, Ms. Zara, who is part of the mission that will include humans to Mars. And we have a video about that in which I will show to all of you later on. Next slides. What do we do as a Mars chapter? The Mars Society Philippines have five pedagogies or five areas. First is space education. Second, Martianology or what we call is planetology. Three, creativity or ingenuity. Four, sports and survival training. Number five is quantum innovation. First is space education. Space is a topic that captivates everyone. It evokes pleasant and recalls our great past. when we reach the moon. That's the real reason why we as kids before and the kids today dream of becoming an astronaut. However, not all of them had the knowledge about space, and some of their parents today embrace blissful ignorance over facing reality. And this also harmed the kids today. Understanding one's knowledge is critical in our modern world, and that will be our mission. Just as the quote said, scientists today are sitting with far more knowledge about outer space than they did in the previous generation, but still, children continue to leave primary school without much understanding of the space. Even if we have all the knowledge that our predecessors never had, if we have no firm space education, it is all useless. So we will push forward to make this all possible. I even have an idea of naming the Filipinos who will reach the stars as lacanauts, like the what the Americans call them astronauts, to their men and women who go to space as well, taikonauts for Chinese and cosmonauts for Russian. That will be the name for the Philippines. The word Lakan speaks of nobility and loftiness of purpose. Lakan originally referred to a rank of the pre-Hispanic Filipino nobility in the island of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Filipinos, who measure up with the most active peoples in the world, can prove themselves again despite the struggles against climate, nature, and obstacles along the way. We have been silent in the past, but now the illustrious sons and daughters of the Philippines are no longer wasted away in their country, and that is what TMSP can potentially do to the Philippines. Next is Martianology, or what we call planetology. It is a new field of study in the future concerning Mars. Planetology, by definition, can mean study of planets such as Mars, like geology, but the scope of planetology is wide, ranging at discover Martian history and with a good Martian philosophy and moral aspect. I object to the fact that Mars will end up like Wild West, and we repeat the same mistake that we did here on Earth. In this field, we will make sure that people will not only be talented and intelligent, they will also have good character that will also establish more trust and camaraderie to every Martian and to ensure that the Martian civilization will thrive and will enable future advancement that will enable them to expand to other galaxies as well. Next slide. Creativity is the biggest focus of the Mars Society Philippines. We are now living in an era of changing educational system, especially the virtual classes that we are doing today. The education system is now adjusting itself to give way to for the generation alphas who will demand a new type of approach when it comes to learning. We have to admit that our current education system typically denigrates or at least minimizes creativity, plus the unnecessary rules and regulation that they don't that programs a child to do a certain task that they don't like. The future of Martian education is about finding the unique human talents that focuses will that focuses on unique human talents that machines will never touch, and as well focus on creating novel stuff that set us on par with machines or AI. Just having some skill will never be enough. Creativity is now the new frontier, which will include flexibility in perception and execution of tasks. The demands of creative educators will increase as well. As much as we value the sciences, we should value the world of arts as well. Next is uh, sports and survival training. We have plans to create a Mars hub like the MDRS, the Mars Desert Research Station, and this will be a space analog facility that will simulate the Martian atmosphere and what it feels like to be there, and also to prepare them for human space exploration that will be that will prepare them for human space exploration. There will be a self-sustained aquaponics with varieties of food to avoid eating the same types of food and also maintaining a balanced diet at the same time. Like MDRS, it will be earth-based and will expose them to various problems that can potentially encounter on Mars and the survival plan when things get so rough beyond their control. Number 5 is quantum innovation. The Mars Society supports the quantum innovation. It is quantum innovation that will set the advancements to the Fourier space and that will revolutionize our world to eventually reach a type 1 civilization or even up to type 2 civilization in the Kardashev scale. While we are still using conventional computers today, sooner or later, we will be using a much powerful quantum computer. With the progress on quantum computing, we will be able to solve problems of the centuries or even at the scale of a millennium. Entangled qubits can solve problems that classical computers cannot, since they have two states at once, and if we had more qubits, it can triple or quadruple its complexity. The US National Institute of Standards and Technology has already said that quantum computers will be able to crack the existing public key infrastructure like the 128-bit AAS inscription by 2029 in just a matter of nanoseconds. But it will take millions of years for the best of our computers to solve. It took us 75 years to move from ENIAC to the new Quantum 1.0 with integrated microprocessors, semiconductor junctions, and lasers. Our goal is now is to launch the next quantum leap to Quantum 2.0 and up to 3.0 and so forth. So I will show you a video of this about our chapter. Can you see it? Not yet.
We can see the search page right now, but not the video.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. Now it's working.
It came in peace. It came in peace. I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the thing. That's all right, I don't mind a bit. How is the quality of the TV? Oh, it's beautiful, Mike. It really is. Oh, geez, that's great. Is the lighting halfway decent? Yes, indeed. They got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes.
yeah. Let's have Kale Marcelino of the Mars Society Philippines. Halfway there, Sarah, by the way.
Miss Sarah. This moment is so unreal, so I'm a bit nervous. So this is my question. Do you think it is important for the youths like us and to future generations to know about the space and its new frontier? If so, then why?
Well, I believe that we are all, everyone from the world, the youth, we are the space generation. We are the generation that are going to go back to the moon and go to Mars. So, we are the future for humanity. And right now, humanity depends on the people that are in schools right now. They may not have been born yet, but, we are the Mars generation.
Hey, why do we need space? Because we need that personal space sometimes. No, not that kind of space.
Why one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Space has been humanity's greatest frontier. Exploring it has brought about numerous contributions that helped shape an ever advancing civilization. But one of the most significant reasons why we must continue is that we are explorers.
But then I saw this.
Space is a waste of time and money. We have problems here on Earth.
Said a random netizen who loves taking pictures from their phone cameras. Allow me to tell you these facts. The space industry was the one that coined the technology that enabled our phones to have cameras. The GPS we are using today was originally created for space. It also made weather prediction and climate monitoring more accurate. They also helped in the development of the MRI, which is used to diagnose diseases and injuries. It revolutionized our means of communication from any parts of the globe. There are still so many technological advances that humanity has achieved with the help of the space industry. It's definitely mind-blowing how space technology is all around us. And yet we are so unaware that we take it for granted. A huge amount of money may be spent for space, but it would always give something back to the economy. The Apollo program, which sent the first man on the moon, excited a generation of engineers and scientists. Come to think about it, it was the generation that built the computers and the phones. Now that you know how the space industry pushes us to create new technologies that are then remarketed and used in everyday life, I do hope you reflect on it and realize the true value of human space exploration. Thank you so much for listening. Per aspera ad astra.
So thank you for that video. And so we proceed. Our mission and vision. The mission and vision of the Mars Society. The mission is to encourage the general public to join the interesting projects on TMS3 Metro, to earn support from the government and private funded Mars exploration programs around the world. 3, to conduct Mars exploration on a private and collaborative basis. 4 is to instill the collaborative spirit of the Filipinos to participate in planetary sciences, astronomy, medical fields, engineering, industry, commerce, and the brainstorming on Martian exploration. The vision is taking on the task to redefine education on Mars and will conduct researches about the challenges in several scenarios of Martian hospital and the system of education on Mars. Also, it seeks to form a space laws that will dictate the Martians with the concept of cosmic league as a new system of in space exploration era. Our vision is to position the Philippines for participation in planetary sciences in the eventual establishment of international colonies on Mars and see to it that no one will be left behind. Next slide. So here's how we do a thing and what we will do in the future. The SRG and the MSP have a lot of plans and projects for the future. The MSP and the team of SRG are planning to form campuses here in the Philippines focusing on 3 areas: mechatronics, VR, later augmented reality, 3D printing lab, and the HIAS Observatory. Like SRG, we focus on creativity as well by doing projects and creating stuffs that no one did before and innovate the things that we see every day. Creativity and just being curious can change so many things that we do not expect before. First is the HIAS Observatory. HIAS means treasure, the pearl of the great value in Filipino language. True to its name, the HIAS Observatory will be a great attraction and will catch the attention of the growing space enthusiasts in the Philippines. We have partner groups like Astrophotography Philippines and Cavite Skies Explorers who were also interested in this kind of projects. The IAS Observatory is a secure two-floor building and it has a roof deck for visitors telescope, a daytime solar and a nighttime astrophotography that will allow the people to see the heavens at night. Space Science Bridge Lab and field trip visits for those who would want to see the observatory and a rotating observatory dome, plus a covered bench area with a small enclosed grill for firelight, camp cooking, and rest area. Next.
Raphael, I just wanted to let you know we're captivated and you have 2 more minutes left in your presentation. So thank you.
Thank you. So we are we plan to buy 6 inches and to an 8 inches model of scopes and semi-professional quality, 2 scopes for redundancy and a solar observational kit. And the TMSV Space Science Bridge Lab. This will be the ground floor of the TMSV Space Science Bridge Lab. It has 2 primary subjects, Earth and Science Education, and is composed of and will compose of CAD, CAM, mechatronics or the 3D printing, the workstation, telepresence, virtual reality, scope automatic, the graphics 2 and 3 system, the 3D printing, and the 3D rendering of the CAD and CAM. Finally, we stand for every Filipinos and every kids around the world who wish to become an astronaut, a scientist, or whatever they dream of, but unable to fulfill them because they don't have anything like that in their country. We will help them to discard all the fear and do extraordinary things as an example for all the generations to come. Let us be reasonable and open our eyes to the voices of the youth who will represent the rest of humanity in the future. So contact us and we will keep in touch with you. We need funding. You can reach out to either SRG or TMSP. Thank you so much.
Bravo. Thank you so much for this inspiring and epic presentation. I'm curious, just before you go, for those who are watching today, where can they reach you, Chris or Raphael, to learn more, to get involved?
You can reach me through www.srgsmart.org. There's a contact form there. Or you can look for me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Chris J. Kent. Just look for my face. And yeah, we're happy to talk. And of course, we're looking to do exciting things if people want to join in.
Very evident. Thank you so much for everything you're doing to raise dreamers and change makers. And Raphael, what a joy to hear about your epic work and mission and vision. Thank you for your commitment to innovating and to inspiring other innovators. Stay awesome.